Imagine if your memory worked only while you were awake. Imagine waking up every morning with a completely empty mind. Your brain is like a clean slate, not Intel inside, but nothing inside. Before you get anything done, you'd have to start from scratch and relearn everything. Relearn how to brush, take bath, and all other stuff. You learn everything in a day and go to sleep and wake up with a blank screen again. Sounds like a bit of a nightmare, right? Well, that's exactly the problem computers face. Regular computer chips forget everything when the power is turned off. Bigger computers solve this by using powerful magnetic memories called hard drives. These can remember stuff even when the power is off. But what about those smaller gadgets like digital cameras and smartphones? They need something more compact. That is where special chips called flash memories come in. These little chips store information permanently, so you don't have to lose your favorite tunes or pictures every time the device is turned off. But do you know how do they work? Well, the idea of flash memories are a bit tricky to understand, so let me try and make it as simple for you in this video. And towards the end, I will explain a process which will blow all your fuses off your brain. Hello and welcome to the Miracles of Science series. Here we will dissect the complex technologies so that you can understand how they work very easily. Please contribute so that I can bring more visually pleasing and informative content to you. Options are in the description. For now, let us switch on our flash memories. The year is 1980 and the country Japan. A person named Fujio Masuoka, who worked for Toshiba, proposed a new type of storage memory that allowed entire sections of memory to be erased quickly and easily. It was initially called EEPROM, or electrically erasable programmable read-only memory. But this quick removal of memory reminded Fujio's colleague of a flash of a camera, and thus this type of memory came to be called a flash memory. Let us get some basics right first. Computers don't understand or speak the language as we do. For them, everything is either 1 or 0, or rather on or off. Virtually all computers know how to represent information with this code because it is an agreed worldwide standard called ASCII. This is the number 100 in decimal and small letter d in ASCII. So to represent d, I will use this pattern. Inside computers, we use transistors which can store a charge and release it. So if a charge is given to a transistor, it is on, or else it is off. So when you save a file on your computer, the data is converted into binary code and stored in the flash memory chip. When you want to access the file again, the computer reads the binary code from the flash memory chip and converts it back to original data. Flash memory operates using a completely different type of transistor that remains either switched on or switched off even when the power is turned off. So a regular transistor has 3 controlling wires called the source, drain, and the gate. Visualize a transistor as a pipe where electricity flows like water. One end of this pipe where the water flows in is the source. You can call it a tap. The other end where the water drains out is the drain. In the middle, blocking the pipe, there is a gate. When the gate is closed, the pipe is shut off. No electricity flows. And the transistor is off, storing a 0. When the gate is opened, electricity flows. The transistor is on and it stores a 1. Here's a twist. In a normal transistor, when you turn off the power, the transistor also switches off. When you switch the power back on, the transistor remains off. So you can't tell whether it was on or off before the power was removed. We say it forgets any information it stored. But flash memory's special transistor, however, doesn't forget when the power is off, making it handy for storing information even when your device is not powered up. A flash transistor stands out because it features a second floating gate positioned above the first one. When the gate opens, some electricity escapes up to the first gate and gets trapped in between the first and second gates. Even if you turn off the power, that stored electricity remains between the 2 gates. Think of a flash transistor like a sandwich, but instead of 1 layer of meat, there is a double layer of meat. There are 2 gates at the top, a control gate and a floating gate. These gates are separated by layers through which electricity cannot easily pass. Think of it as a piece of cheese slice in between. Now the source and drain regions, that is, the top and bottom of a sandwich, have lots of electrons. However, they cannot flow from the top to the bottom because there is a special insulating layer of cheese in between them. But when we give the transistor a positive jolt, electrons rush from the top to the bottom. Some clever electrons manage to sneak through this insulating special cheese layer and get stuck on the floating gate. This is called quantum tunneling, and I will come to that interesting part in a little bit. Now, these trapped electrons stay on the floating gate even after we take away the positive jolt, and even if there is no power. If we try to make electricity flow through the transistor again, those trapped electrons on the floating gate block it. So we say the transistor is now holding a 1. To make it hold a 0, we use a trick. We put a negative jolt on the flash transistor, and this pushes the trapped electrons out, clearing the floating gate. Now electricity can flow through the transistor once more. So when it is holding a 1, electrons are present within the floating gates. And when it is holding a 0, there are no electrons within the two gates. When we want to see what is saved, we just check if there are electrons in the floating gate. If there are electrons, it means we stored something there. And if not, it is an empty storage space. That is how a flash transistor stores data. Complicated? Not really, right? Now let us understand quantum tunneling, which is super interesting and impossible to believe. Imagine that you are a warden in a prison which has high walls. Now a prisoner wants to break free from the prison. He can't jump over the wall because it is too high. He can't dig a hole underneath the wall because the ground is too hard. He can't cut a hole in the wall because you would spot it. But one prisoner can achieve this near impossible feat. That is, if the prisoner is a quantum particle like an electron. It can reach the other side without jumping over it, going underneath it, or drilling through it. That is the power of quantum physics. In classical physics, particles would be unable to penetrate a barrier unless they had sufficient energy to overcome it. However, in quantum mechanics, there is a non-zero probability that particles can tunnel through barriers, appearing on the other side without having to go over the barrier. What? It is the wave function of the particle that helps it to achieve it. Remember, I told you how electrons travel to the floating gate even though it is surrounded by an insulating barrier? That is achieved through quantum tunneling. It seems almost impossible to believe, right? But that is what enables you to store your data in your pen drives and memory cards. If you don't accept quantum tunneling exists, you cannot use that smartphone or memory card. No flash memory, period. No wonder Richard Feynman made that very famous quotes that nobody understands quantum mechanics. If you think you understand quantum mechanics, then you don't understand quantum mechanics. Now let us bust one more myth regarding flash drives before we end the video, shall we? Okay, you may think of flash memory like a superhero with a cape because it is so handy, but it has limit to its powers. The more you use it, the longer it takes for it to do its switching thing. People often say that it starts to wear out after about 10,000 times, but that's a bit misleading. According to an engineer named Stephen Wells from Intel, it is more like 100,000 times before the slowdown affects how well it works. So whether it is 10,000 or 100,000, it is usually okay for stuff like USB sticks or the memory card in your camera that you use once in a while. But here's the catch. If you're talking about the main storage in your computer or phone that you use every day for years, it might not last that long. To get around this, the smart operating system can make sure it uses different parts of the flash memory each time it stores info. It might ignore the parts of the flash memory that are slowing down, just like how it deals with bad spots on a hard drive. This technique is called wear leveling. So, in a nutshell, flash memory works like a super small electronic storage room. We use tricks like floating gates and utilize impossible seeming quantum tunneling to lock and unlock tiny bits of energy in there, representing our digital data. It is fast, it doesn't forget anything when we turn off the power, and it is the reason we can carry lots of songs, pictures and files in our pockets on devices like smartphones, USB drives and memory cards. I hope you liked this episode and found the information new and useful. And if you found it really good, please do give a super thanks. If you wish to support the channel, there are plenty of options available in the description, and it will help me develop better content for you. And if you like scientific content like this, subscribe and share for more.